What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about one of the best teams in the NBA, and the team I believe is going to win the championship, and that is the Brooklyn Nets. And so far this year, the Nets have had a very up and down season. They've had numerous injuries with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving had his little stretch where he was out, and of course they had the James Harden trade, which was a huge blockbuster move. Now, in spite of all that, I think the Nets this year are going to win the NBA championship, and in this video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why I believe that. Now, before I get to this video, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure to do so, and if you could like this video, I'll greatly appreciate it. So with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Now, reason number 1 of why I think the Nets will win the championship is because they have the best offense in the NBA. Look at their offensive ranks on the screen right now. First in points per game, first in field goal percentage, second in three-point percentage, 7th in free throw shooting, and 1st in offensive rating. And if you watch Brooklyn Nets basketball, they're one of the most dynamic offensive teams in the league, and James Harden recently has been the focal point of the Nets offense. He's the main facilitator and the main ball handler, and he's really reverted back to 2015 Harden, where he's a much better all-around player and not just a primary scorer. And that version of James Harden, that's my favorite type of basketball to watch. Harden is a dynamic scorer, but also he can get in the lane, find shooting in the corners, lob it up to the big man, or shoot a nice floater jump shot. And I think this Nets offense is perfect for James Harden. The spacing is tremendous. You have guys like Joe Harris who's shooting 48% from 3, KD shooting 43%, Kyrie and Jeff Green are also above 40%, and Harden himself is at 37%. So the spacing for this Nets team is going to be very much key to them winning the championship, and James Harden has plenty of room to operate. And when you have two guys in Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant playing off-ball, which they can do, that makes it even more deadly for James Harden and more deadly for this Nets team. And at some point in the playoffs, this Nets team, Kevin Durant is going to need small ball 5. And KD playing the small ball 5 stretches the defense out even further, giving Harden and Kyrie even more room to operate. And just looking at the history of the playoffs, 2 very important things are mismatches and matchups. Who you're matched up and who you're playing against, and who has the advantage in those matchups. And I think this Nets team, more times than not, is going to have the offensive advantage against any team they play. And in recent history, 3 of the most important things are spacing, shooting, and offensive versatility. This Nets team checks all 3 of those boxes. Now, speaking of threes, my second reason of why the Nets win the championship is because they have the best big 3 in the NBA, the 3-headed monster of Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. And look at their numbers this year and how they're playing. Absolutely amazing stuff. KD has been insane, nearly averaging 30 points per game. Kyrie's efficiency isn't off the charts, and Harden, once again, is leading the NBA in assists. And one thing you can say about Brooklyn that you can't say about any other team, that they have 3 top 15 players. And Kyrie, more times than not, is going to be playing like a top 10 player come playoff time. And going back to the offensive versatility of this Nets team, on any given night in the playoffs, either 3 of those guys can be the best player on the court. Twice in the series, Kevin Durant is going to give you 35 or 40, Harden's going to give you 35 at least once, and Kyrie himself is going to have at least 1 big scoring game. So when you look at that offensive scoring, that offensive load, this team has buckets from everyone on the court, and these 3 guys are amazing scorers and also very good facilitators. And I'll put it very simply, no other team in the NBA has that offensive luxury of having 3 guys who can do 30 to 35 points per game on a nightly basis. And if you look at the potential matchups for this Nets team, in the first round they're going to play someone like the Bulls, Pacers, Raptors, or Knicks. They're going to have the 3 best players in all those series. In the second round, they'll probably play the Heat or the Celtics, and in those matchups, they'll have 3 out of the 4 best players on the court. Now, potentially in the Eastern Conference Finals, they'll play the Bucks or the Sixers, which once again, they'll have 3 out of the 4 best players on the court. And if you know anything about playoff basketball, it comes down to superstars and big-time players, and more specifically, guys who can get you a bucket at the end of games. And that brings me to my third point, which is end-of-game clutch scoring. You have 3 guys in Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden who are among the league leaders in clutch time scoring, which the last 5 minutes a game within 5 points. If you look at the numbers on your screen right now, all 3 of these guys are insane when it comes to clutch time scoring. KD's averaging 4.3 points per game on insane efficiency. Kyrie's at 3.9 on 51, 55, and 75 splits, and Harden is at 4.7 points per game on 58, 46, and 94 splits, and he has the 3rd highest clutch scoring average in the NBA. Now, this Nets team in general in clutch time games, they have a 72% win percentage, which is the 4th best in the NBA. They average 10.9 points per game in the clutch, which is 3rd, and they shoot 50% from the floor in clutch time situations, which is 2nd in the NBA. And they're the only team in the league top 5 in all three of those categories. Now, if you aren't a fan of clutch time stats, just look at Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, two guys with championship experience who have hit big time shots on the biggest stage. Kyrie in 2016 and KD in 2017 and 2018. And Harden in his own right has been a decent clutch player since 2015, and he's really gotten a lot better at the late game shooting. But I think these three guys in general, when it comes to late game scoring, you have to get a bucket in the playoffs. You can look to Kyrie, Harden, or KD to do that game winning shot that you desperately need. And I think that unique aspect of the Nets is going to separate them from a lot of the other teams in the East as well as the West. Now, my fourth reason why Brooklyn will win the championship is because they have championship experience as well as numerous deep playoff runs. KD and Kyrie have both been to the finals, they both won championships. Harden has been to the Western Conference Finals twice, and he's been to one finals early in his career. And you also have role players like Jeff Green as well as DeAndre Jordan, who have had deep playoff runs and even one finals appearance. So when trying to pick a team that won the championship, you have to look at which team has the most championship experience. This Nets team is in a very rare area where they have tons of championship experience, not only in the players, but also in the coaches. Mike D'Antoni and Steve Nash, they have not won championships, but they've been in deep playoff runs, and they have a lot of experience working with each other, as well as KD and James Harden, with Mike D'Antoni coaching Harden, and Steve Nash being a trainer in Golden State, helping out KD. Now, when looking at the Eastern Conference, this Nets team is not even close. They are by far the most experienced team in the East. The second most experienced team is probably the Miami Heat, who really aren't that experienced when you think about it. Bam is still very young. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson are also really young guys. Jimmy and Goran are really the two veteran leaders, but those guys are not NBA champions, but they do have championship experience. And when trying to pick an NBA champion, you have to nitpick little things like that, look at which teams have experience, and look at which teams are inexperienced and don't have that championship mentality. This Nets team definitely gives me the vibe of a championship caliber team. And the last reason I think the Nets won the championship is because the modern NBA has changed so much. The NBA right now is a score-first league, scoring is at a premium, and you have guys across the league putting up insane numbers. Now in the playoffs, the game will get more defensive and it will tighten up, but in general, the scoring across the league, playoffs or not, is at an insane rate. And like I said with this Brooklyn team, they're the best offensive team in the NBA, and right now in 2021, I think offense wins championships. And I wasn't always a believer in this Nets team, and I thought the defensive issues were a big problem. But when you look at the defensive ranks for this Nets team, they are around the middle of the pack, and they aren't as bad as I thought they'd be. Of course, you have DeAndre Jordan and Jeff Green, as well as KD, who are pretty solid defenders, but the guy who's impressed me the most with his defense has been James Harden. Harden, as you guys know, is a very good post defender, and so far this year, we've seen him lock up some of the best perimeter players in the league, like Kawhi Leonard or even Paul George. So I think the defensive problems of the Nets team, they are a little bit overblown, and they aren't as bad as they thought they'd be. And just getting back to the modern NBA, this Nets team is built for the modern NBA. In my mind, they're a culmination of three different teams: the Steve Nash Suns, the Steph Curry Warriors, and the Mike D'Antoni Houston Rockets. And I think what we've seen this year is those three playstyles blending together to create the best team in the NBA, and the team I think is going to win the championship. And Steve Nash is on the record as saying that looking back on the 07 Suns and those early Suns teams, he was kind of angry they didn't push it further, shoot more threes, shoot faster, have better spacing, and go smaller. And I think those mistakes that he saw back then are going to help him now in the future with this Nets team. He's going to push offense to a premium and put defense on the back burner. And when it comes to the modern NBA, like I said, scoring and offense are at a premium, and this Nets team is the best scoring team and the best offensive team in the league. Now, that was my last reason why I think Brooklyn will win the championship, but I can't end this video with all positives. Of course, the defensive issue is a problem that will have to be worked out and will continuously have to improve. But that is not my biggest concern for this Nets team. My biggest concern is chemistry and the media pressure. Will the media get to this Nets team, and will they break them down? We've seen in the past KD, as well as Kyrie and James Harden, they've had their struggles with the media, and they do feel kind of slighted in the past by the media. And I think that is the one specific issue you have to look to at this Nets team. Will they give in to the media pressure? Will they turn on each other? And will they explode and go down in flames? I think it's very unlikely given the experience and knowing how much is on the line with this Nets team. I think KD, Kyrie, and James Harden, they've all sacrificed for this team, and I think they realize winning a championship is a must-have for this Brooklyn Nets team. So that right there was kind of the downer to this video, but overall, I give you my main points why I think Brooklyn will win the championship this year. Now, like with all predictions, it can go wrong, and I can be wrong in the end, but I try to base this off facts and even some data that I have, and just the overall history of the NBA playoffs and understanding the modern NBA. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think Brooklyn's winning the championship? Do you think the Clippers, the Lakers are the heavy favorites? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.